All right, I'm going for it. Climbing. Antoine, I've been better. I'm calling because I took a little fall climbing. I'm in the hospital. I'm not gonna make it to work. Got kind of banged up. I don't know how serious it is. Rock climbing sucks. You have to get an x-ray, but I'll keep you updated for sure. But, you know, obviously I can't come in today. Okay, thank you. Bye. Yeah, this makes it really, really serious. Yeah.
No, that does make it look
I'm
really
gonna die. Oh man, dude, yeah, it was a bummer. The cam blew.
Fucking dude.
Yeah.
2 cam.
Yeah, just 1 cam. I don't know, like mostly I'm like the back's kind of what I'm worried about the most probably.
Brad has been on my radar for a long time. Really good rock climber, really strong. But I think what makes him unique is his boldness and commitment, kind of this lost world of dangerous climbing.
My name's Brad Gobright. I'm 27 years old. Yeah, I started climbing when I was 7 years old. Dropped out of college my first year and sort of just been a dirtbag, traveling dirtbag ever since. Oh, glory. I mean, I wouldn't be where I am with climbing today, you know, if I hadn't done that. I've lived in the boulders up in Yosemite for months at a time.
Wait, do you want to drink light of fluid though?
We should Brad had like 2 shirts when we met him, and then Christmas came and he got another shirt. I was like, oh, whoa, it's a 3rd shirt.
His car is not what I would call nice or even good. His car is a piece of shit, but it gets him around.
I didn't have a lot of money. My goal was to work as little as possible and climb as much as I could.
Look at it. It looks so good. It's just calling to me. Oh, boy.
Brad was getting really good, but he was also sketchy.
I have not seen that many climbers like Brad. He's a freaking strong climber and has an amazing head for climbing.
All right, this is a bad idea.
Brad definitely qualifies into that category of one of those people you've never heard of that's stronger than all the people that you have heard of.
Dude, it's so wet. Oh my God. Oh man, that would have been big.
Yeah, that would. All right, yeah, grab your shit.
All right, why are we up so early, Cedar?
We're up so early because Brad is what I call overstoker.
Yeah, it's sort of just zone out on everything except for climbing.
Yeah, Brad's overstoker.
Some link ups, do a lot of climbing. Gotta get ready for the spring.
I gotta get ready for sleeping.
Brad's beyond stoked, for sure. He has these big goals and he really wants to do them, so he puts a lot of pressure on himself to make that happen.
Goes out to Eldo and dispatches every single one of the scariest, hardest routes on the Rincon Wall. Most climbers are really psyched to send one of those routes in a day. Nice. The routes are R-rated. You could break your legs on some of them. Not most people's idea of a fun day out of the crag. All right, up here with the Brad Gobright. Doing what I like to do most, hanging out with men in their underwear at the crag. Brad friggin' forgot his shorts, but he wasn't gonna let that stop him. He just like stripped down to his skivvies, put his knee pad on, and got on the most dangerous route of the day.
Come on, that's good now. Yeah. Come on, yeah, come on. get it. Yeah.
Oh, oh fuck. Dude, that's so nasty. Oh, that wouldn't have helped. Shit, dude. Oh.
Nice, dude. You didn't break your legs.
Psyched. It's not over.
Nice, dude. Don't fuck it up.
Sweet. Ah. Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Trendsetter.
You wear boxers too, not even boxer briefs.
Right? They make my balls itch. I like to just kind of let it hang.
That guy's climbed so many impressive climbs, but even more impressive is his ropeless climbing.
Brad's a full solo climber. I mean, he's been soloing for years.
I mean, there's just very clear, obvious consequences if you mess up on a solo. It's pretty clear cut. You either send or you die.
I do experience fear, but I've learned to deal with it when I'm up there. Getting to the point where I'm like 100% certain I can do it without falling, that's very satisfying.
How do you feel, Brad?
Oh, such a good climb. That's what climbing's all about. Doesn't get much better than that.
The only other person out there that's doing the solos like him is Alex Honnold.
If I was on a deserted island with Brad Gilbright, I would let him have sex with me, yes.
Everybody knows who Honnold is. Yosemite's best free soloist, probably the most famous climber in the world. Brad, on the other hand, not famous, poor, and solos in a scrappy little climbing area called El Dorado Canyon. Which is funny because it's like a climbing area that a lot of people hate. It is scary.
I hit my head.
It's run out, it's sandbag. You go there thinking you can climb 5'11" and then you can barely get up 5'9".
Holy fuck!
I don't look at Eldo and think like, that's a place I want to go soloing.
It's not like Yosemite where it's like a splitter crack, you know, and you're locked in on every move.
You're on these faces exposed, doing hard moves that are irreversible. Like once you do a section, you're not going to down climb anymore.
It gives you the heebie-jeebies, doesn't it? It's like my hands are sweating thinking about it.
One of the reasons I like Eldo, it's a little exciting.
And there's just an element of insecurity that makes the soloing a lot more serious and therefore a lot more impressive.
I mean, to me, they seem pretty hard and pretty scary. And I find Eldo in general to feel really slippery and insecure.
For many years, the hardest solo in Eldo was the Naked Edge. And for Brad, it's an afternoon romp.
You know, I can do the Naked Edge house to house in under an hour.
He's like soloed the Edge like over 25 times.
He's soloed the Naked Edge 25 times? Are you for real?
Yeah.
That's fucked up.
Almost like a playground. You know, you can go from one route to the next.
Brad is the best soloist in the history of Eldo. Why haven't most people heard of Brad Gilbright?
I would say most people haven't heard of Brad. He's definitely a bit of a dark horse, kind of underdog.
You know, like he barely has any sponsors, like nobody knows who he is really. And even though he's definitely one of the more talented climbers in the country.
It's like rock climbing is becoming an actual like sport. Like Honnold's got his own book. There it is. Like that's pretty pro right there. I don't want to pay for it, so I'm just reading it here in the bookstore.
If I didn't exist, it'd be like, oh, rad, like nobody else is really soloing hard like that in the US right now, like that's pretty cool. But it's just sort of unlucky for him that I've already kind of stolen some of that.
Yeah.
I'll give him a free pair of shoes as a consolation prize.
Honnold doesn't feel feelings as far as I'm concerned, but maybe Brad's similar actually. Actually, maybe they're just two in the same.
I mean, there's at least some chance that most high-end soloists have some kind of personality disorder. But the thing is, everybody has quirks. Like, everyone has something going on with their life.
Brad is a quirky guy. He's not what I would call pro climber material.
My name's Brad Gobread. I'm a blue water athlete. I was using the 9.7 Lightning Pro.
He's short, goofy looking. I wouldn't call him wildly handsome.
Oh, well, pink is my favorite color, so.
He's no Sharma, you know? There's no like just waving glorious hair in the perfect light. Is he like dot, dot? I would call him socially awkward.
Toilet destroyed Cedar's toilet.
I would call his eating habits poor.
Fruit Loop donuts, have you seen those?
He ate an entire apple pie one time. I watched him devour an entire apple pie in like a matter of 10 minutes.
He's the kind of guy that shows up to the crag with a donut.
Go fashion glaze. They didn't have sprinkles.
I'm like, dude, that's gnarly.
I forgot my glazed croissant.
Brad is climbing at a super high level, whereas, you know, his life situation, not so much.
I gotta be at work at 4 to bust tables.
So putting tablecloths on like tables for rich people.
Oh yeah, he's a great climber, but then it's like everything else, you're like, dude, what are you doing?
Oh, how did I forget that? Man,
Oh man, you forgot the rack, or you tied the rope in a knot again, like what the heck, dude?
it's like I just put it in my pack. I must have put it on top of my jacket and it like...
How can you be such a space cadet? Like, what is wrong with you?
This is what Honnold's talking about, Brad.
Oh, I gotta get it together.
Yeah, this is not the mark of a professional, dude. It's actually a good argument for soloing. You just have to remember your shoes, your chalk bag. There's so much less to remember.
So I am going to rappel down the Dub Griffith. Thought I'd wrap down, rope solo it a bit, see how it feels.
There's a reason that the Dow Griffith has never been soloed. It's really technical and powerful.
There's like thin holds and there's like parts of the climb where you can't really back off. I'm not gonna deny that it's not a dangerous activity. It is, but I love free soloing and it's just kind of about the beauty and simplicity of moving up a rock wall all by yourself. I think in the beginning, there's always kind of the butterflies and then they kind of just go away. By the time I'm like in the middle of it all, I'm just 100% focused and into that little bubble. You're not really being distracted by anything else other than like the few moves in front of you. Occasionally there are these like harder climbs, like the Dub Griffith. Those aren't routes I'd be soloing all the time, or even a second time.
It's a next level solo for El Dorado Canyon, and really a next level solo for soloing in general. Brad started reading the comments, you know, on Facebook. That's always a mistake. Can't read that shit.
I think what a lot of people don't see is all the time and dedication and mileage it took to get to this point.
I personally feel like Brad falls closer to my end of the spectrum, where he's just sort of rational about it, like, oh, well, I can do this, I feel comfortable, so I'll just do it.
A lot of people don't really get the whole free soloing thing, but all I can say is that I feel really solid up there. You know, you're 100% focused. But I think a lot of times when people get on a rope, they let their guard down.
Brad had been trying this 514R called Viceroy on top rope. Probably one of the most difficult and dangerous trad climbs in the country.
Basically, there was just one more day to climb it before a huge storm was going to come in and shut down the route for the entire season. But I just figured, you know, what the hell, I'll go for it. shit! Oh! Fuck! Oh! Ah! There was like 20 minutes of kind of panic. I'd never broken my back before, but I knew like right away. I was like, oh yeah, it broke. I just got hasty. I just went for it.
I brought you chocolate-covered peanut butter things. I don't know if you're allowed to have any. When Brad broke his back, it was shocking. My first concern was, is he going to recover from it? Like, how serious is the damage?
Brad had 2 compression fractures in his back, broke his ankle. And before the accident, Brad was at the top of his game.
Yeah. As it turns out, crutches and a back brace are not a fun combo. Yeah. Climbing is the most important thing in my life. So when I got injured, it was tough. There wasn't much for me to do because rock climbing was really all that I did. So here we are.
Brad's like unbridled enthusiasm is what makes him a great climber, but it's also, I think, why he sometimes injures himself. He just gets so stoked that maybe he doesn't think things through enough. And that's definitely what happened on Viceroy.
Yeah, man. Should have backed up that cam, or I should have just stuck the move and sent the route. That'd have been better.
Being so stoked that you do something stupid is one of the dangers of loving climbing that much. I would say in the last 12 years, climbing and climbers have changed a lot. I think that nowadays, you're getting these really strong, really timid climbers. People are afraid to run it out. They're afraid to take risks because they learn to climb in a climbing gym where everything is super safe. And Brad Gobright is the antidote to that in a lot of ways.
Let's do it. I've definitely been getting weird looks in the gym. They're like, oh man, what happened to that guy? He didn't just break his back, he broke his ankle and his back. See, this is what sucks about having a back brace and crutches.
I just like picturing him like, just hanging from like a little crimp and all of a sudden, and he's like paralyzed for life.
Good news is like in a month from now, my fingers will be the strongest they've ever been. The bad news is that I'll be terrified to rock climb. Tread climbing will be way scary.
When you have an accident like Brad had, it's really hard not only just to recover physically, but mentally, especially someone like Brad who was really at this outer level of boldness.
I was still like a little nervous about tweaking my back, and I felt very mentally out of shape. Good. But it was really important to me that I made a full recovery because I still had some big goals in climbing.
I mean, that's the thing I love about Brad is his commitment. He's more committed than any other climber I know of right now. He's more obsessed than anybody.
At that point in time, coming back from my injury, the thought of soloing something hard in Eldo seemed very unlikely. I went up there by myself. There was like pretty much no one in the canyon that day, and I kind of started to think about it again.
Right at the top of the Bastille is Hairstyles and Attitudes, one of the most exposed and difficult lines in the canyon.
A few years ago, I led Hairstyles and Attitudes, and afterward, I just thought about how amazing it would feel to be up there with just a chalk bag.
Every solo Brad had done in Eldo so far felt like an incremental step in his progression. But to me, hairstyles felt like a whole new level.
It's like a balancey style of climbing. It's very thin edges, it's a little slippery, but mostly it's just super exposed. It's so high off the ground.
I've climbed hairstyles and attitude, and I couldn't imagine soloing that route, especially with how short he is. You have to really stand on your feet and just get fully stretched out.
Yeah, soloing something like hairstyles is definitely hard, but I feel like Brad is actually surprisingly conservative in his approach.
I'd climbed it so many times where I got to that point where I was like, I know I'm gonna be okay. I'd probably climbed this about 50 times, no joke, over the past few years. And you know, in the last month, I've just been climbing it more and more. I'm gonna go and do this little sequence again.
Of course, people are gonna say that soloing something like hairstyles is reckless or totally insane, but it's his dream, and you've just gotta respect that.
It's not just some sport hobby, it's, you know, it's my passion, it's my life. I wanna look back on these years and be super proud. Hairstyles and attitudes was the hardest solo to commit to. I was concerned that maybe I would be a little more tense than I should be, and it might make the climbing feel different. You get to that rest, you're shaking out, you're thinking about it. But once you move up past that ledge, it's 100% on. There's no down climbing. You're either gonna be coming off the wall or you're gonna be going to the top.
Filming someone hanging from like a couple millimeters of rock, it's nerve-wracking filming that kind of stuff, you know, it's intense. You know, once I watched Brad climb the first bit of hard climbing, I knew he was 100% committed. He was climbing super deliberately and in control. You know, then Brad came to the crux. The hardest and most insecure moves of the entire route. Things got less than perfect.
You know, it wasn't like, oh my God, I'm falling off, I'm gonna die. But it was like, whoa, this feels a little bit different than usual. There was still a lot of hard climbing to do, and I just had to forget it and move on. How'd that feel? Yeah, I'm like kind of over gripping, I think.
After that sketchy moment, I could barely hold my camera still to get a shot. All I wanted to do the entire time was like throw him the fucking rope, you know? But somehow he's able to dial everything back in focus. For Brad, it was like that last 10 feet of climbing never happened. Watching Brad solo hairstyles was one of the most terrifying but most badass things I've ever seen in climbing. And I'm pretty sure that no one's ever gonna do it again.
Man, I've been wanting to do that for a while. One of the best, right? So good. Woo! I had a small sense of relief coming over the top, but mostly I just felt so stoked. That was definitely one of the proudest climbs of my life for sure.
You know, all the bold climbing Brad's been doing, some people find it irresponsible. But rock climbing, it's not golf, okay? It's supposed to be dangerous. I mean, people think climbing should be this safe sport like gymnastics or something. I say, screw that. Climbing's supposed to be adventurous. It's supposed to be a little dangerous. It's supposed to be exciting, you know? I mean, what the